is not going to be an easy topic to talk about. I got to that point. I got to that point where I was kind of like, what was the point, first and foremost, of me making all this change in my life, dropping all my worldly friends? What am I talking about here? I am talking about struggling with depression. Hi everyone, welcome back, or if you are new to my channel, welcome in. My name is Stacy. This is Virtuously Me, and this is basically a channel on basically surviving Christianity in your 20s, basically. And not so much surviving, but just being able to just go through some of the temptations of the world, being able to go through, just how to be a Christian in your 20s in this type of world and environment. So I was bringing you guys on my Christian walk, my highs and lows with Christianity, and for anybody who can definitely relate or definitely could be upon this, to create that kind of community, that relatability type thing. So when I said in my previous videos, and even now, I wanted to bring you guys kind of on my highs and my lows. So this video, I do not want to make super duper long because it's already a nerve-wracking topic for me in itself. But I wanted to touch base on one of my lows in my Christian walk while I am figuring things out in my 20s. And I know this can be of a huge topic for a lot of people who are in the same age range as myself, who could probably definitely relate to this topic at hand. So I went through a specific event recently with another friend that really exposed the things that I was still dealing with, things that I thought I was healed from, things that I thought I already moved past. And I feel like the Lord had used this situation to really show me that I still had tons and tons of work to do. And I felt like it was also a situation too where I felt like, the enemy definitely took advantage of, especially after what took place beforehand. So what am I talking about here? I am talking about struggling with depression, struggling heavy with depression. And it also kind of falls along the side of struggling a bit with suicide as well. Not that that was what happened this time around, but those two always coincide with me each time it has come up in my life. So let's get into what took place without giving too much details. What happened beforehand? Where was it in the point in my life that this first popped up, and what to do, or what was my personal formula, which could be of help to anybody else who's going through the same situation. But what was my formula in getting through this time period in my Christianity, in my walk with Christ right now? So let's rewind it back. It was the month of September in 2022. I kind of discussed this a little bit, touched based on it a little in one of my previous videos, but I went through a very, very traumatic situation with my family. I did an offense that I had, of course, admitted to, but the reaction to that by people who I held very dear to my heart, and people who I spoke to every single day, people who meant the world to me, the reaction to that first offense was just all the way crazy. And the words that were said to me, the words that were spoken over me in negativity, the disposability that took place, like of just the rejection and the, just imagine just having a huge group of people just turn away from you. Family, friends that are associated, significant others that are associated, just a huge group, like 15 probably people, turn on you. And majority of those people only heard one side of a situation, only heard one side of a story and ran with it because they had probably more loyalty to the other person that was involved. I don't know if a lot of people have been through that, but it's very isolating. It's very hurtful, especially for people who you thought were very like close to you, people you've spoken to like every day type of thing. You would hope that they would know you more and would at least give you that chance to be able to explain yourself and explain your intentions. But to have, people just immediately throw you away like you didn't mean anything to them, but they meant everything to you, is very isolating and very hurtful. So with that being said, I didn't realize yet again that was going to literally put me on a whole journey of really looking within myself and my mental health. I would say like I was probably a functioning depressant person. Like I didn't learn about that term until early 2022 of what it means to be functioning and depressed. Until I learned about it. And when I did, I kind of was like, yeah, that's actually me. Like, like I'm able to put on a big front that everything is okay. And when truly behind closed doors, they're really not. And I absolutely felt like a fraud on social media. Absolutely felt like a fraud. Please, don't believe everything you see on social media. Like, if I could be a true testament to that, do not believe that. You know how many people tell me like, oh, Stacey, you look like you're doing great, like your perfect life, this and that. Yes, granted, there are a lot of good things that are going on in my life, but that's what's going on the outside. It's really what's up in here that's kind of what matters. And up in here wasn't okay. And it took me a very long time to get to that point where I could say I am not okay. I'm not doing well. But it took me a very long time to get there because I kind of had like an avoidance type of personality style. Because I was hurt very badly by a relationship in college, I kind of vowed that I wouldn't allow any other human being to ever get that close to me ever again, to ever be affected that emotionally by another human being. And I think it's just also too just by how I was raised. My father very instilled that in me. Like, you never give 100% of yourself to somebody, which, it can be true. Like, it could be probably true. Like, but I felt like in that way, I wasn't allowing myself to fully feel things in relationships, and I felt like it was kind of causing kind of like a roadblock a little bit emotionally when it came to further relationships in my life, because of that fear of giving people my all so I wouldn't get hurt again. It was a pro and con, to that. Like, I understood where he was coming from, but also too it was kind of creating bad habits in my future relationships and feeling like I couldn't really be fully in tune with my emotions because I didn't want to get too attached. And I felt like I kind of made that same mistake with my family of getting really close to a group of cousins who are around the same age group and always hanging out with them. So when the situation had happened, I felt myself feel very, very hurt by it. And my coping mechanism is to immediately run away from the emotion. So I immediately just was like, okay, avoid, cut off, done. Like, I immediately unfollowed everybody, just ran away from the situation. If that's how you guys want to treat me, leave it. And I thought I was okay. And I kind of was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna forgive you guys for how y'all treated me. I already said I apologize, but you guys treated me just very awful. And you know what? That's it then. I'm done with you guys. I don't even want to deal with y'all. And I never want to see y'all ever again. Only time I want to see you guys are funerals. And even then, don't talk to me. Like, that's kind of how it was. Like, I was just like, complete cut off. Don't want to see you guys ever again. That is it. That is all. And what I didn't realize was that it was creating a negative impact in me, that for future friendships that were coming in my life, I was making a bad habit of being very impatient with them. So any new person in my life, they even looked at me wrong or breathed the wrong way. Of course, I'm being exaggerative, but I cut it off very quickly. I was just like, no, because I don't want to get hurt again. That is it. That is all. I'm just avoiding it completely, instead of dealing with the roots of my emotions and why I felt the way that I felt. I was just like, nope, cutting it off. We're done, you know? So fast forward to a situation that happened very recently. I had gotten into an argument with a friend, and because of that argument, and just a miscommunication, or, you know, just thoughts kind of thing, it kind of caused for there to be like a rift between us. And it was the same situation where, again, I didn't feel like the reaction equated to the offense. And again, I always like to take accountability, and I always make sure I say my apologies and stuff. But it really triggered me very heavily, triggered the mess out of me to think about what happened with my cousins. And I fell into a very deep, my mind was in shambles type of thing. I fell really heavily deep into depression and resentment even towards God, because I'm like, Lord, what was the point? I got to that point. I got to that point where I was kind of like, what was the point, first and foremost, of me making all this change in my life, dropping all my worldly friends, you know, gaining Christian friends, just for one of those same Christian friends to treat me the same way how any other worldly person treated me, just the same way how my cousins treated me, and their reaction. Like, what was the purpose? What was the purpose of going through all this if I was gonna still feel the same way, just alone and isolated, rejected? Like, what was the point? And I even gotten to the point too where I kind of was a little bit kind of done with God for a minute. I kind of was just like, you know what? I'm kind of like, what's, because I don't understand you. Like, I don't get it. Like, so I don't really want to talk to you right now. Like, I'm kind of upset with you. And I got to the point too where I really was questioning his creation. I was just like, what's the point in making me this way? Like, why make me this sensitive to like emotions and this sensitive to relationships? And I just really was down bad. I was down bad. And a lot of people, you know, didn't realize it. Of course not, because, you know, I'm not gonna just put it out there like that. So of course on social media on the outside I seemed like I was okay, but no, I was down bad. I would be talking in group chats, but I was down bad. Like, I was trying not to get triggered by other friends, and my mind was really just off the chain. So I came to a conclusion that I realized that whole spirit of depression, it never left. It never left me. It kind of just simmered down a little, but it was waiting on the moment to just like come again and attack. And that was such a good moment too for the enemy to really just come in and truly just attack, because it was a very vulnerable situation. And it made me realize, like, I really didn't heal from that hurt of the past that I was bringing into new relationships and new situations, which is why I would be so heavily triggered and all that. So I had to really kind of just dig deep in myself. And this is kind of how, this was my formula with getting over or healing. Matter of fact, it wasn't even me. I had to really just call upon God to really like heal me through this spirit of depression, because that was not trying to leave me alone. It really wasn't. And it was coming in the way of my purpose and what I needed to do for God. So, the first thing I did was I had to truly come clean with my emotions to God. That was the first thing. Again, we become so scared to be transparent with God. We become kind of nervous, like, I don't want to tell him that I'm mad with him. I don't want to say these things to him. But no, he already knows it. He knows our thoughts. He knows our hearts. He knows it, but he wants you to just be open with him. Just tell him how you feel. So I had to be open with him. I had to tell him, like, look, Lord, I don't even want to talk to you right now. That's literally how I had to be. Like, I had to just be like, Lord, I really don't want to talk to you. I'm upset. I'm feeling lost. I'm feeling like, what in the world? I'm feeling like, what? And these were all feelings that I was really avoiding, because I kind of just felt like, I'm supposed to be a leader. I'm supposed to be like, I'm a leader in my church. I'm supposed to be a leader in certain aspects. And I felt like I was failing in those roles because I had these negative feelings towards God, and I could not get over being depressed, like, and I felt like I needed to be strong. Like, I felt like feelings were weak. And that was something that was also instilled in me growing up. Like, feelings are weak. Crying, weak. Worried about another person? Are you kidding me? Weak. Like, I was, like, I learned, like, you were born alone, you're gonna die alone. Like, no human being on this earth should care that much to you. And that was what was instilled inside of me, But this is number 2. I had to remember that feelings are not weakness. And that's another thing that, being in therapy has definitely helped me. So I really am a big advocate for therapy, for sure. But through the use of therapy and the word, I was able to realize, like, feelings are not weak. Crying is not weak. Missing and grieving someone, grieving a lost friendship, grieving an argument in a friendship is not weak. And I had to realize, and again, big advocate for the Bible app, because I started to look up like plans in there, and I was able to find 2 plans. One was called Healing What's Inside, or Healing What's Hidden, what's inside, like discovering the root of things. And the second one was named Breaking Free of Depression. And through my Bible studies, through those, it made me realize, like, God himself came down in human form and experienced just about all the negative emotions that we've experienced. There's nothing new under the sun to him. And it made me get so emotional after reading that, because again, like, I'm really unlearning and relearning things about God. And I felt like I'm unlearning that he's just this all-powerful, all-being person who's like, he's there, we're here. And while that is true, it's also kind of not. Even though he's this all-powerful God and he is bigger than this earth and this universe and all these, he's like, man, like, he is everything. He's beautiful, he's majestic, I guess, like all these things. That is true. But he is not so big and so far off, that he even gave his own son to be able to connect with us and to be able to feel the things that we feel and go through the same things that we go through. you know, yeah, he was perfect and never sinned through it all, but he felt those things. And I was reading through different examples of things that he went through, like how he wept when he lost his friend Lazarus in John 11, how even he went through betrayal with his own friend. Freaking Judas sold him for what it was, 30 pieces of silver? Excuse me? Like I was only worth 30 pieces, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, if he even went through friend betrayal. Even his friend Peter denied him 3 times, even though he knew it was coming. He knew all these things were coming, but it was still hurtful. And he went through friend betrayal, and that's the same thing that I went through, of like just feeling kind of betrayed or being tossed away by your friend. The same thing that he went through. These are all feelings he's went through, and I'm pretty sure he felt very sad about it all. And in turn, with his friends some of his friends just throwing him away like he was nothing, he went through being crucified, which is that's like probably really, really just obviously, you know, it's a really painful moment. So Jesus was sad just like I am, and to just know that this heavenly Father who is bigger than you went through the same things you went through, or felt the same things you've gone through. There's nothing new to him. He knows what you're going through. It kind of just made him feel even more closer to me. Kind of really just made him really feel like more of a friend. And I kind of realized through my revelations that although this was a very uncomfortable, because I'm kind of still going through it, but even though this is a very uncomfortable process for me, I also knew it was needed. And I know that God wouldn't just leave me by the wayside and just watch as I crumble under things. Like, he needed me to go through this uncomfortability to be comfortable with going through emotions and to be able to heal. Even though that situation with a friend recent was unfortunate, and you know, I don't ever want to lose that person, even though God still needed the situation to happen in order to shake me up out of my mirage that I was trying to put on, that I was okay and I was fully healed and all these things. That he needed to trigger me again, to show me like, no, you're not okay, and I need you to be okay, because I need to put you in other situations. I need to put you through other relationships, but I need you to be healed first before I can even put you in those other things. Because I knew if I stayed in where I was never gonna be ready for like new friends to come in my life, or I was never gonna be ready for even my own husband to come in my life. Like, I was so emotionally unavailable to welcome new friends or welcome new people into my life. Like, I was not ready to talk about feelings with people. I was ready to just cut off people again, like, you know, like. And I knew that God just needed me to just stay right here and just be like, listen, you need to work on yourself right now. Break up out of this mirage, this little like thing you're trying to, you know, fake, fix it, and then we can move on, type of thing. And so, you know, those were kind of the 2 main points that I had learned. And the third one that I had learned was God doesn't make mistakes. He doesn't make mistakes in creations. And Psalms 139, that's a big one that I will, you know, try to fit on the screen, the specific one especially. But just remembering that we are beautifully, wonderfully made. And actually, the NLT version says something differently, where it's like, the NLT version says, thank you for making me complex. And I love that version, honestly, because I was kind of weaponizing that against myself. Like, why did you make me this way? Why did you make me so complex? Like, why can't I be able to handle my emotions correctly? But I had to realize, like, no, God made me great. And this version of me right now is not me. It's not my normal. It's the hurt me. It's the affected me. It's the, you know, depressed me. It's the me that went through rejection and abandonment, and I needed to fix the root of this. So this isn't me. This isn't what God created of me. There's an old Stacy that I need to return back to, the healed Stacy. But this isn't truly me. You know what I'm saying? And I had to realize that. And I had to realize, like, I need to change my mindset kind of on life a little bit. That this too shall pass. This is yet another problem of life that is going to pass, which the enemy cannot have control over. I have authority over, these things from the enemy. So I have authority over depression. I have authority over suicidal thoughts. I have authority over rejection and all these things. I have authority over this. And I do declare for it to go. So I just had to kind of think about that and change my mindset a bit regarding like, trauma and all these things. Like, I will get back to where I used to be and I will be healed. So that was kind of like some of my formula. Also too, some hidden gems as well that, I did besides being transparent with God. We're realizing that feelings are not weak. You are not weak for feeling depressed and all those things. And also just remembering that, like, God can fully heal you. You are not complex. You are not an error made or whatever. Like, you are beautifully and wonderfully made. You just need to invite God into healing you. And I think that definitely was one of the main points too, of just inviting God. Once you acknowledge those negative feelings with him, then invite him in, as hard as it sounds, because sometimes you're probably like really mad at God for even allowing the situation to happen. But invite him in, invite the Holy Spirit in to be able to heal you. And that was my main topic, my main prayer. It's just like, okay, I've acknowledged that I'm upset with you, God. I acknowledged what I've done wrong. I've acknowledged how I feel and everything. I've acknowledged the root cause. So now, Holy Spirit, do surgery within me. Do what you gotta do. Work in me. Let restoration be able to happen. Let healing happen. And let me just be patient until it happens fully. And then some hidden gems that I've done was, don't be afraid to reach out and be real with people. Truly don't be afraid to do so. I wanted to so bad to cut off the entire world and just isolate myself and not talk to people about what was going on. And I almost did that. There was a night where I was really spiraling and I almost did that. But no, I switched my reaction this time, and I was like, I'm not gonna do the same reaction I did as last time. So I was able to reach out, and I had about a good 4 or 5 people that I was speaking to, just 4, that I was speaking to about the situation in depth. And those people were there for me. And there were times where I would feel probably triggered by like friendship group chats or stuff, like where I was feeling that anxiety and that feeling again. And I was able to talk it through with those core people. And I appreciate those 4 people for being there for me, because they were able to like reel me back in, and being able to pray over me and to encourage me and enlighten me and fill me up with scripture in a time that I really, really needed it. And that's why I think I'm such a big advocate for community too, because I could not have gone on this journey of healing by myself. I definitely needed those core people to be able to fill me up with scripture when I could not do that myself. I wanted to turn away from God. I wanted to turn away from Christianity in total. I wanted to turn away from everybody. I wanted to lock myself up. And I know I would not have the strength to be able to get out of the chokehold of the enemy in order to get to where I am today, to even have the courage to even make this type of video, to try to just help other people out there who feel the same way, who are putting on a facade. That is the word, not a mirage, a facade, to think everything is okay when it truly isn't. So that was one of like my hidden gems of finding, even if you could just find at least one person to just let them know, like, hey, I need you to be there for me during this process, and allow them to be there for you, and be comfortable. And even if you feel negative, because that's how I still feel, like I still feel kind of negative sometimes, and I'm like talking about when I'm triggered. But even if you feel that way, just be open and honest with them, you know, just let them know how you're feeling, and talk through things with them, talk through your emotions. The only way you can get through it, get through a situation, is by going actually through it and dealing with your emotions. Another hidden gem is journaling, and I was also watching sermons that had to do with what I was going through, finding Bible plans that had to do with what I was going through. And I think it was very helpful to be able to remember that certain people in the Bible have gone through depression. Even the old prophet Elijah gone through depression, like, you know, and to know that somebody as a great man of God as him, Elijah, walked with God. He heard God, like a whole conversation with God, you know what I'm saying? Like, that man was a powerful man. Like, that man, he didn't even die. He got transcended into heaven. He didn't even die. Like, he was a pretty powerful man. And to hear that even him himself went through depression, like, that was kind of really relatable, and kind of put things in perspective to me, that no matter how great you are on this earth or whatever, like, you can still go through these types of things, you know what I'm saying? And it will be okay, and you'll get through it, you know what I'm saying? So just finding those certain plans, and then just journaling out my feelings and how I'm feeling day to day, those all help to be able to just put everything out on the table, so that I'm not holding things in and holding negative feelings that could stop me from truly fully healing. So those are some more hidden gems. And then the last thing I did was fast and pray. Once I had realized that I was going through this, I heard the word fast. Like, I didn't even think about doing that really, but I heard the word fast, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna fast with the intentions of breaking the spirit once and for all, and because it needs to go. And I went through a 3-day liquid fast, from 6 to 6. So I'm not saying that, like, you know, once you finally break these chains, I'm never gonna go through sadness ever again. Of course not. But I had to break out of this cycle of just feeling just depressed for months. Like, anything that would happen, I would just get immediately depressed again, like just not feeling fully satisfied, but putting on a show that I was. So finally, just attacking and diving into the root of things really just have like helped me. And I just pray and hope that to anyone out there who is feeling the same way or going through the same things, feeling like you are alone, because that is one thing the enemy does. He would try to tell you and lie to you that you are alone when you are not, because that's what I thought too. I thought I was alone in how I was feeling, but I'm not. I'm not the first person that I've gone through this. I'm not the last person to go through this. You know what I'm saying? So this was my experience. This is my formula on what I did to be able to, get through what I went through, what I'm going through still. I would say that I'm still in it, and I felt led to be able to make this video so that, you could see that this is a person who's still going through that healing process right now. Like, God's fully not done with me with the healing process. I'm not sure when it will happen, but it doesn't matter. What matters is me just being able to confront my feelings and go through it, and allowing the Lord to restore in me all the things that need to be restored. And now I'm at the point where I am finally able to reach out to people who have hurt me and to truly forgive them. So I'm really just changing my heart posture and changing the way I react to things, how I used to react to things. So I pray that this video was helpful. It was kind of uncomfortable for me to talk about, but I'm just praying that it could be of a testimony to other people who are going through it right now, that you may be encouraged and just know that God has gone through everything you have gone through. All the feelings you're feeling, he has felt it. He understands. Talk to him, be open, and have a community. And if you don't have people to talk to, you're more than welcome to either reach out to me separately. I'll always put my socials in these videos, and even in the bio, and you can always be in the comments or reach out to me separately to be able to talk. So yeah, that was my truth. As I really was a fraud out here. But aren't we all? Alrighty guys, until next time, I will see you in the comments, and I will see